Hello everyone, and welcome to this presentation of the XACML architecture. XACML, again, stands for the Extensible Access Control Markup Language. It is a standard from Oasis, and it defines three parts. Number one, its architecture, the focus of this video today. Number two, a policy language based on attributes. And three, a request and response scheme. The main components of the architecture are displayed here below. First and foremost, we have the PEP, or Policy Enforcement Point. This is the part that is responsible for protecting your applications, services, data, and other types of APIs. The Policy Enforcement Point is responsible for intercepting a business request, converting it into an authorization request, and sending it on to the second component of the XACML architecture, the PDP, or Policy Decision Point. The Policy Decision Point is the part that evaluates authorization policies against incoming authorization requests from the PEP and reaches decisions which it returns to the enforcement point. In order to help the policy decision point reach decisions, there are two components in the XACML architecture that support the decision function. These are the policy information point, PIP, and the policy retrieval point, PRP. The policy retrieval point is no more and no less than a storage for policies. It could be a database, it could be the file system. The PIP bridges the policy decision point to underlying sources of metadata, such as databases, user directories, web services. The idea is that if the enforcement point does not provide enough information to the policy decision point for the latter to make a decision, the policy decision point can turn to the policy information point and retrieve the missing information. The final component in the XACML architecture is the Policy Administration Point, or PAP. This is the component where administrators, developers, and business users author authorization policies and push them out to the policy store or the policy retrieval point. One of the key aspects of the XACML architecture is it is cleanly decoupled. On the one hand, at the bottom part, you have the management function. In the middle, the decision function. And at the top, the enforcement function. For a single point of management, one can have any number of policy decision points, and in turn, a single policy decision point can serve any number of enforcement points. This is a loosely coupled architecture. Let's walk through a typical flow. A user sends a business request to access document 123 from the left-hand side over the right-hand side. The enforcement point has been deployed to intercept that request and convert it into an authorization request. Can Alice access document 123? Let's see what the policy decision point says. The PDP will load policies from the PRP. We'll inspect the policies and realize that it needs additional attributes. In this example, the policy might be managers can view documents if their clearance is greater than the classification of the document. This means that the PDP will need to retrieve the role of the user, the clearance of the user, and the classification of the document. The PDP will call out to the PIP to retrieve those values, and provided the values are adequate and in line with the requirements of the policy, the PDP will return a permit. On receiving a permit, the enforcement point enforces that decision and lets the original business request go forth to the targeted application. The top benefits for the XACML architecture are, number one, a standardized pattern. This is the standard architecture defined in the XACML standard. The second benefit is that XACML is loosely coupled. PAP, PDP, and PEP are all extremely loosely coupled. As a consequence, we achieve the third benefit. One can have a single central point of authorization management, the PAP, for any number of decision points, and in turn we can have a single decision point for any number of enforcement points. The last benefit is particularly interesting to architects and developers. The XACML architecture can be used on many different technologies, many different applications, be it Java, .NET, Ruby, Spring, so on and so forth. There is no limits, and the reason is the enforcement point will adapt to the specific target application, the specific technology, and still talk back to the same policy decision point. Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact us.